I was like a 4.0 student, and I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm starting a popsicle company. And they're like, what? But luckily, my parents, they both had a lot of faith in me.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Flashquotes podcast, the best podcast online and elsewhere for mobile event businesses and entrepreneurs. We are here on this wonderful day to hang out with you, and we have a fantastic guest with us, Callie Lebaron from Joy Pops. Hey, Callie.
How's it going? I'm excited.
Great. Happy to have you. We were talking before we started about your epic sign behind you. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. We're just here at our storefront. And that's one of our favorite signs we take pictures in front of, and it's a cool little icon for our store.
Nice.
Yeah,
awesome.
Your background looks like it would be like a screenshot background, except there's people moving. Like you're actually in this
like
really
one
cool
the
location.
standard ones you can choose from. Yeah, totally.
Well, we've connected once before, Callie, but like immediately you are your namesake. Full joy is what I feel, just vibrating when I talk to you. It's epic.
Yeah.
And you don't need to look very far to see some pretty awesome things you've accomplished. And to not bury the lead, you're insanely young for how successful you've built this business right off the bat. I mean, you're in like your early 20s now.
Yeah, I just turned 24 2 weeks ago, and I've been doing this for about 6 years now. So I started when I was 17 years old.
That's crazy. Hopefully it won't make people feel bad about themselves and mostly inspired.
No, if they could have seen the learning curve I went through for the first 3 years of this, they would understand why I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want to get into. Absolutely. And I think there's probably no better place than that, just to kind of jump off a little bit with the beginnings. I mean, what in the world caused you at 17 to think like, let's do this, and I want to start a business? I mean, what was even the impetus for Joy Pops and where you are now?
Yeah, the whole concept kind of fell into my lap. I was never just woken up. Like, I didn't wake up one day and was like, I want to start a business. In fact, I was applying to some colleges. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really enjoyed school, and I enjoyed being in charge. And I was a very creative person. But when I was on my Christmas break during my senior year, we as a family traveled to Dominican Republic. And there's a company down there that we fell in love with. It's Joy Nutritional Popsicle. And we kept going back there year after year. And one year my family's like, okay, we've been following this orphanage. We want to support them. Let's go do a Christmas Eve dinner there. And let's go to Joy Nutritional Popsicle and try to buy out whatever they have that we could bring to these kids for dessert on Christmas Eve. And so we talked to the owner and told her our idea. And she was like, no, let me come donate them. Let me volunteer. I would love to be a part of this. Like, she also loved that orphanage that we've been following. And so before we knew it, it was just my family, our taxi cab driver and his family, and then the family of Joy Nutritional Popsicle with us on this Christmas Eve dinner and dessert. And it was pretty surreal. All of a sudden, I realized how many different walks of lives we had there, all eating popsicles. And some of us couldn't speak the same languages. Some of us were all different from different countries, but we all were really enjoying the same dessert and had something in common in that aspect. And we just like fell in love with it. My dad's from Mexico. And so these paletas were very familiar to us. And seeing that side, how she could cater them, it wasn't just a supermarket thing. They were gourmet, made with fresh ingredients and with great values behind them. My dad and I were quickly like, how can we have this in Utah? This would be perfect and it aligns with our values. And so my dad was like, hey, like, how can we get this to Utah? And kind of joking, but one thing led to another. She was like, no, I will like send your daughter down here and I'll train her. And we ended up doing like a kid swap. So her son, who's my age, came to the US and studied in the US. He was into architecture, and my dad's in the construction business realm. So he studied under my dad, and I went to the Dominican and I studied under his mom. And she taught me all of the recipes. And while this was all happening, I didn't think this was like the start of something crazy. Like, I didn't think this was going to be my career. I was on Christmas break my senior year. I was like, yeah, this is way cool. I get to go make these desserts in the Dominican Republic. And then I was going back to school. And when I got back, my dad was like, okay, well, is this something you want to do? Do you want to try opening this? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And so I stopped applying to colleges. I decided very quickly I wanted to see where this led me. And I definitely felt like kind kind of like a calling for me. Like, okay, I'm just going to try it. And it was really scary and nerve wracking to like be like, I'm sure my grandparents like had a heart attack when I was like a 4.0 student and I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm starting a popsicle company. And they're like, what? But luckily my parents, they both had a lot of faith in me to kind of see my vision and where I wanted to head. And we flipped this old conference room we owned in Draper into a small commissary. Like, I swear it was only like 200, 300 square feet. Like, it was teeny. And we flipped it into a small commissary and we bought a food truck off Craigslist. And we're like, okay, let's start here. We started very organic. And I've started with just every money I made that summer, every penny of it went right back into the next summer. And during the off seasons, I would work a couple different jobs to kind of bridge the gap. And it wasn't until maybe after the pandemic is when the ball really started rolling for me. And that's when we got our push carts, which is kind of what we use to book catering with you guys, is our push carts. And that was a huge turning point in my career, was these catering push carts that didn't need electricity and you could book really easy. But yeah, long story short, it all of a sudden started snowballing, and now I'm 6 years in and I just opened my first storefront.
Congrats. That's insane. And I'm hearing some themes that we hear from a lot of people. One is courage and mentorship, right? That woman who kind of took you under her wing and trained you and showed you the recipes. There's almost everyone has that person who really helped set them on the journey. But then the courage, right? At some point, like, there's no more hiding. If the decision, like, it's up to you, it's up to that person to make the decision, to have the courage. And some people will think about it for years and never really take the leap. I mean, that is wild, like really, really inspiring. I would say that you were able to do that. Sounds like with support of your family, maybe not support of your grandparents, but everyone else, the courage to do that at any age, much less like between like when you're about to choose to go to college and take this like very approved, societal path, or start a popsicle business. Like, that's really incredible.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like, there's no perfect timing. You really just have to start and get the ball rolling and just figure it out as you're going. Because I think if I hesitated, I don't think I would have ever started. I think I would have been too scared if I thought about it any longer.
And what were some of the, you've spoken some about just the different challenges you had, but I'd love to hear if you have like a specific story or a time where you were maybe close to quitting or really questioning it, or a really challenging event or moment in Joy Pop's history. I know from past podcasts, people really love kind of the struggle and the challenge and then emerging from that challenge. Do you have any moments like that come to mind?
Yeah, the first year is incredibly hard, especially being so young. I felt like I wanted to do it and I was excited and passionate, but sometimes I felt like I didn't have the knowledge or bandwidth in me to keep going. I would get so frustrated, and just the unknown, that was really hard, especially when it came to all the taxes and licensing and like registration with the Department of Agriculture. Like, it was just so beyond me. And before that, the only experience I had was working at coffee shops. And so that was really hard. I feel like every day I would come home crying, literally like every day. And I didn't even know what I was doing, but I'm really thankful for my parents always giving me like words of wisdom to keep going and just like just day by day, take it day by day. Because soon I wasn't crying every day. It was like every other day. And then it was maybe once a week. And it was really hard. Now seeing the struggles that used to cause like a complete meltdown, I always have like a mental breakdown, is like a normal, like, oh, I can handle that problem, no problem. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like what you're able to, I always say, like, it never gets easier. You're just able to handle more. Yeah. And so just like seeing that strength in myself, being able to overcome these problems, also helped motivate myself. It's like, oh, these problems I had last year are now like a walk in the park this year.
It's incredible. I definitely resonate with that too. Like, issues that would have come up on events that would send me just like an adrenaline rush through my body and like stress. Now it's like, yeah, oh, easy. Like, here's what we do. Boom, boom, boom. Just straight to action and straight to resolution. And that it is crazy to see as business owners, like, just like you said, it doesn't get easier. You just get better and more, more experienced and more capable. And that's such, I think, a core piece of growing as a business owner.
So take us to, you're in the commissary and you've just built this out, 200-300 square feet. it's what, 2018? 2019?
2019, yeah. Somewhere in 2019, yeah.
So just before, pre-pandemic and all of that came with it. What, how did you start? Like, how did you even think about getting your first customers? I mean, you'd gone through the training in the Dominican, you had some skills on creating. Were you happy with your recipes, or were you still experimenting?
Yeah, I was really happy with my recipes. Training in the Dominican is pretty crazy because not only are the ingredients different, like their fruit is 10 times the size of our fruit, even down to their half and half is a different kind of like density as ours, and their heavy cream is a little bit different. And so I flew my mentor out to the US so she could help me kind of tweak my recipes on US products. And so they're all the same, like kind of integrity and texture, but the recipes are a little bit different to compensate US like fruit and stuff like that. Like the mangoes down in Dominican, we'd go out to the corner shop and they're just huge, like no problem, barely had to add any sugar. And then of course here in the US, the mangoes are a little bit smaller. And so we had to maybe tweak those recipes to help have that same flavor, but like kind of doing what we're doing. But yeah, it was crazy. That first year was hard to switch your mindset to being like, hey, there's no boss telling you what to do. You have to push yourself. And even trying to figure out the quantities to make for events. For events, I would take every single event, no matter what it was. I would go to like local splash pads and just set up my truck and start selling until they would get mad at me and told me I can't sell there. And then I would go to the next place and try to like get my name out there. I worked at a coffee shop here in Utah, and I would ask them, hey, on Saturdays, can I come park my truck? And I would just try to get snowballing. And something that was huge for us was Instagram. Just posting on Instagram, word of mouth was huge until we could get our website kind of going and popping up on Google. It was a lot of word of mouth and Instagram, and really just putting all of my work into it, really making it work, really building and establishing trust with my clients. And some of the clients that booked me in 2019 still book with me.
Nice.
So just basically doing anything I can to maintain that relationship. And then they would recommend me to someone. Or if they moved on to another job, they would be like, hey, we used to book this girl at our old company. And like, so just like trying to build trust with my customers and establishing that relationship was huge too.
Awesome story. And it comes up over and over again, this kind of like journey of entrepreneurship. You're like pushing the boulder up the hill, pushing, like trying to make it happen. And then eventually like you get to the top and it starts rolling down the other side, right? And you have a different set of problems as you become overwhelmed with a ton of leads and tons of people, and maybe it was just you, and now you need to hire some people or get more people to help you out. So maybe talk to me about like that inflection point or the first transition where you went from like I'll do anything to just get my name out there and go wherever I can to like it's starting to catch on. I'm getting more leads than I can handle. Like I need to think about bringing in some help or some people to help me out. And what was that transition like?
Yeah, that was definitely after the pandemic. It was like a huge boom after the pandemic. Every corporate event, every wedding planner, everyone wanted to come back into their office. So they were trying to do employee appreciations to get all the clients to come back in their office. And then everyone now could do weddings after the pandemic. So now we have all these weddings being planned that were pushed back years because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So when we got our first push cart, then we started to really blow up. And that was crazy because I went from doing everything, every email, invoice, making the paletas, and then serving them. I did every last thing. And so all of a sudden, now that I needed help, I was really scared to let control go. And like, hey, now I have to trust someone else to represent my company. So I started hiring people. I started trying to fix my website to be better, and trying to improve on that was crazy after the pandemic. And it really was those push carts and private catering that sent us to the next level, honestly. And so that was pretty crazy. And pretty quickly, I realized how stressful it was trying to work with clients, organize their event, and then work with my employees to get them there with that event with the correct information. And that's always been like a struggle for us for a long time.
So you also, with your truck early on, you were doing primarily vending, right? Primarily selling, one paleta at a time, one popsicle at a time. Did you ever, at those days, were you doing any private events, or did that take you a while to build up to those?
It was kind of an awkward timing. Our first year I opened, by the time I got things going, because everything takes way longer than you think to get things running, it was July. And so here in Utah, our summers are pretty short. We only have so much time to really get things going. And so it's just a few months of trial and error. And then I took the winters to think about it, work on my recipes, work on my website. And so by next summer is when I realized, okay, private catering is where it's at. I may not have 300 people come to my truck at a splash pad, but I could come to them and have 300 paletas handed out at a wedding. And so that's when it really clicked to me. I was like, okay, this is where I want to be at my second year, which also happened to be the pandemic. So it was like, it was kind of like a slow start, very organic, a very slow start between the pandemic and then just being 17, 18, trying to figure this out on my own dime. And so, wait, remind me your question, sorry.
Just if you were vending, like primarily, right, selling by the popsicle, and when you pivoted more into primarily private events and contract.
Okay,
events.
yeah. So it was that second year during the pandemic. And then by that third year is when we fully transitioned. Besides just starting our storefront, for the past like 3 years, we primarily focus on private events. With it's like corporate events, we do wholesaling, we do stuff for the Utah Jazz, their private suites and weddings and all that kind of stuff. It's like now where we really saw that like hook on. And so we moved pretty much everything in that direction. And now we don't really do public selling events unless it's like farmers markets or certain things like that.
And so where are you at now, just with, well, one, I know early on for a lot of small businesses, small events businesses, Instagram is a primary lead source. Is it still like the primary lead source for you? Has Google become an important lead source for corporate events, or where are you getting your leads from these days?
Still a lot of Instagram. We just started at TikTok, so now we're getting some from TikTok, but honestly, still like word of mouth. And so now working with all these companies, we get recommended a lot, whether it's the clients who were working at the company and now recommend us to, their new company they work for, but word of mouth. And then Instagram, definitely for weddings. We work with wedding photographers and other people that we all kind of like try to tag each other and promote each other too, to find different leads, but definitely Instagram and Google are like our number ones for sure.
Cool. And what do people search for in Google to find you?
A lot of our clients have told us just like Utah wedding catering. Ice cream is huge here in Utah. We have a huge dessert, like a lot of dessert lovers here in Utah. Our weddings, typically in Utah, don't have a lot of alcohol. And so that's where they turn to desserts. And it's also become such a great affordable option. Let's say you have a smaller wedding on a budget and you can't afford $20 a plate for dinner for everyone, but you can afford maybe a bigger reception with a lot of like paletas that are maybe $3-4 a person. And so desserts have also become such a great, more affordable way to entertain all your guests and not break the bank trying to do huge meals for everyone.
I wanted to ask you about navigating seasonality in your business. It's a challenge that we hear a lot with different Flashquotes customers. Obviously, we kind of started in coffee, and with coffee, the seasonality is a little bit different. It's really popular when it's cold outside, maybe less so when it's hot outside. So the coffee kind of booms around the holidays, and then the coffee caterers are all like looking for more leads in the summertime. But I'm assuming it's kind of the opposite for you. You're in the frozen treats business. You just mentioned Utah has a short summer. So how does that ebb and flow as the weather changes, and what do you do to try and keep busy, in the colder months?
Yeah. So definitely our summers are maybe May to September. And so we have this short period of time where we have to make a year's worth of income in like 6 months. And so for me, it's really pushing, like we are working 12, 15-hour days. We're always running our machine. We hire extra help during the summer. We don't say no to any events unless we physically do not have any more like carts to offer them. And so that's been a huge thing, is not saying no and reinvesting everything to expand our catering. So now we have multiple push carts, multiple catering vans. We have coolers you can rent. We have our food truck, and then we have pickup orders at our store. And so trying to find every avenue to make that money during summer is huge, knowing that in the winters it's going to slow down. This year's been really exciting for the winters because we have a storefront now. And so we don't have to close our truck. And so this is actually my first year working fully all year for Joyce and not having to pick up other jobs. And so that was like a huge turning point for me, is to not have to work multiple jobs and be working at my storefront. So at our storefront, we've got like hot chocolates, and we're planning on doing like ice cream and brownies. And then we have coffee here as well. So we do hot lattes, ice lattes. But luckily also, like the culture here in Utah, they love ice cream all year round. And so that's also been really great. So even though it's like maybe 10 degrees out here, we still have people making the trek to our store to get ice cream. And so that worked out really well. And just continually to market like on our Instagram why you should be eating paletas in the winter. And so that's where it comes in, like our toppings. So you can now dip any of the paletas in chocolate and add toppings. So it becomes more of a gourmet dessert rather than something to cool you off in the summer. And where in the summer we market like, hey, it's 100 degrees out at the farmer's market. You should stop by our stand to get fresh frozen fruit, basically. And so just kind of switching the marketing for our mindsets. But yeah, it's been really exciting to have my storefront, being able to have like now at our truck, if it was a cold, rainy day, we were all outside cold and freezing. And so it's so nice to like not have to rely so much on the weather like in the fall and winter.
That's huge. Congrats.
When did y'all open the storefront? It's pretty recent?
December, yes. And so this is our first summer in the storefront, and it's been seriously such a blessing. Like I've been like loving my life here.
With your carts, when did you kind of have the realization, hey, these push carts are going to be a good method to do these event-based, catering operations versus maybe a full van or something else? And how did you go about starting? Did you buy some carts? Did you build something? What was that like?
Yeah, so we found a company online to help us custom make these carts. So they sell the carts and then they custom like wrap them. And it's meant for like ice pops, paletas, ice cream sandwiches. Like it's kind of meant for this ice cream realm, and there's no electricity required. I got my first one and I was like, okay, we'll see how it goes. I didn't even have a van yet. I was using my mom's old Toyota Sequoia. And I would just like hire a girl to help me lift it in and we'd lift it out. And so I started with that. And I was like, hey, we'll see how it goes. And I had this corporate company. They actually are next door to us now. But they were like, hey, we're looking for like 500 paletas, but we want it on this grass field. Like, do you have another option than a truck? And our truck is also from 1969. So it could barely make it over 45 miles an hour. So it was very limited. Quickly, I realized how limiting it was for the demand that I was being asked of. And so I was like, perfect. I have this new cart. I haven't used it before. Can I come test it on your company? And she was like, yeah, perfect. And so we like packed up the car and we took it out there, and it was super easy. Everything was prepackaged. The turnaround time was very fast, where we had these like pizza carts next to us, like little brick ovens, and their turnaround time was quite long to cook the pizzas. And we realized the benefit of our product being like a fast turnaround time. It's in your hands. There's not a lot of trash. It's not a big commitment of a dessert. It's small and just in your hand. And then any extras, we packaged them up for her to keep, and they enjoyed it for the next 2 weeks in their office. And our inventory wasn't going bad. As long as it stayed frozen, like we were good. And we weren't having to throw away inventory. And so that's when I realized these carts were actually amazing. It didn't take any gas. Like normally our truck, we have to get a truck driver and then the gas. And there was always like an engine problem and all this stuff. And so like have no problems with this little push cart was huge. And I was like, hey, wait, this is actually going to be amazing. We just handed out like a week's worth of inventory in 2 hours. And it didn't take much effort other than me and this other 16-year-old girl I hired to help me. And so that was like, wait, we can do this. This is actually good.
Nice. And how many push carts are you up to now?
We have 2, and we're working on getting our third one more for wedding themes. So it's going to be like all white and everything. But we have upgraded from the Toyota to vans. And that was also huge. Once we got our vans settled, I could send one girl to do 700 paletas by herself in 2 hours. And so being able to be like cost efficient on labor was huge, because that's kind of where most of our kind of money comes from, is labor and stuff like that. So being able to get custom ramps, making sure we've been doing it for 6 years now, so we're very efficient with the carts. But making sure that it's all flows, and to have one girl be able to do all of that was like also has been huge. And so we're working on getting our other van and a wedding cart.
Nice. That's amazing. We have a lot of folks start up with Flashquotes that are like just starting their business for a mobile event business, whether that's coffee, frozen treats, I mean, the whole gamut, photo booths. You talked about early on just kind of deer in the headlights with all this new stuff you had to figure out as a business owner. How did you tackle that? I mean, obviously it was hard days, lots of tears on the pillows, it sounded like, but like what did you use? What were the resources? Was it just family members or online resources or communities in Utah? What kind of helped you figure out like, hey, okay, this is how I need to think about my profit and loss and the labor costs and, getting my margins where they want to be and things like that.
Yeah, when I first started trying to intake catering, at first, like I was also just 17. I was just figuring it out. I was just like, yeah, just email me, we'll book you. Like that's all I would say. And then it was just so much time back and forth emailing people because then I'd forget to ask this question and then forget to ask this question. And then, or I would ask all those questions and they would only answer maybe 3 of those. And so then I'm like, okay, great. We still need to answer the remaining questions. And I would have my mom sit down with me and she'd help me word out all the emails. Like this is before AI. Like I was handwriting all of the emails and the questions, and it was so stressful. So then I was like, okay, let me look at my website. Like my older brother helped me put together this website, and I was like, okay, they have this like free little integration that I can do a little form on, and they can fill out their form and give me more details about their event. But even with that, I was still always found myself taking so much time emailing people back and forth, trying to get all the information and trying to make things feel clear to me, but also to them that they felt confident that I had all the information correct as well without going through like 15 emails. And so that's actually what we've been doing for a while. We've gotten better and faster at it, but up until I was working with you guys, it was really hard. I would spend maybe 5 hours a day just glued to my computer trying to do all of these emails back and forth and then doing the invoicing and then confirming the details and then making sure it was booked and that we've received the deposit. And that would just take so long. By the time I finished it, we'd have more inquiries. And so I felt like I was just never done or couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah. Natural segue to Flashquotes. I'm curious to hear like the story because we met you and you signed up for Flashquotes through a mutual friend, Stephen Swank, and his coffee shop. So I'm curious just to hear the story of how you met Stephen, how you guys started talking about event cart catering software and how that all went down.
So I actually used to work at a coffee shop with his wife. And so during one of the off seasons, we were both baristas at this local coffee shop. And she was telling me, she's like, I think I want to start my own business. And she knew I kind of had mine going. And so we really bonded over like both trying to start. I had a cart and she had a coffee cart. And so we're kind of like, it was amazing where obviously we're not competitors, but we're in the same realm. So we really could relate on a lot of things. And so we'd really talk about that. And she's always like, Stephen and Maddie have always been so kind and willing to help me. And they've been so nice. And so one day I was just so annoyed with the emails. I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I started looking at all of my kind of like people I look up to, looking at their website. I'm like, what are they doing? Because, Stephen was killing it. And I was like, hey, well, what is he doing? And I look on his website and I saw he was using Flashquotes. So I texted him. I was like, hey, like I saw you using Flashquotes. Like, what do you think about it? I'm kind of struggling here. And he immediately was like, come into my coffee shop. I've got to tell you about it. And I was like, okay. So I grabbed my little brother. It's like I'm always with my family. I grabbed my younger brother who's really also into entrepreneurship. And I was like, come with me on this meeting. We need to find like what Stephen's doing. And so we went to his coffee shop and he told me all about it. And I am not kidding you guys, when I was on cloud 9 after that meeting, because everything he showed me about Flashquotes was like a dream come true. It was all the things I was struggling with at like a press of a button for him. And I was like, I can't believe I've been doing this all by hand. And when you guys have been here the whole time. And like, I was like, I need to start as soon as I can. Like we got back to the office and immediately like started signing up. And I was like, I need help. And I just felt a little bit lost. And so having Stephen help me, he even helped me like integrate it on my website. Like it's just been a dream come true. I couldn't even believe my eyes. It was such a godsend. I was like, this is like going to save me so much time. I was so excited.
Love to hear that. That warms the heart. I mean, that's why we built it, to like hear stuff like that and actually help business owners like you. I mean, so before you were, 5 hours a day on emails and inquiries and caught in that loop. By the time you finished all the inquiries, boom, there's more coming in. Now, I mean, how much has that been reduced due to Flashquotes?
Literally more than half. Like, and now I'm probably spending an hour and a half between emails. And it's so nice and convenient because I'll literally be at a wedding or I'll be at a corporate event and I can accept events with a push of a button just from my phone. And I no longer have to go home, set up my computer, have all of these different tabs open with my invoice, what I use for invoices, what I use to accept inquiries, the emails, like all of that stuff. Now it's all in one place and I just approve it with one button and it's already going to get all the information from my clients for me and get the deposit and let me know when they've booked it and they're set. And so that alone saved me hours. And then also I felt like the clients were able to see all the information very clear and they were confident in too, like seeing they got the confirmation email saying like, it's been booked. Here's all the information we have. And so it made me feel good. And then also the clients had clear information right away as well.
It's huge. So what would you say to people who, whether they're coffee or other frozen treats, or anyone who might be interested in Flashquotes? What would you tell them?
I would say definitely do it. It saved me so much time, and I was able to free up so much more of my brain to worry about other things, like starting my storefront, where now with Flashquotes, like it just really is so fast and easy and allows me to focus on other things. Not only is it great to receive events and book events, but now my employees also have such a clear, detailed list of where they're going, who they need to talk to, how long it's going to take to get there, what flavors do they need to grab, what time do they need to be there and be back. Like everything is so clearly written out that I don't have to sit there and do a huge debrief with my employee. I'm able to just send them the event brief link and they have all the information they need. And we know it's correct because it's been entered in by the client themselves. So there's not like that middleman where things can get lost in communication, whether the client tells me information and then now I have to go tell the employees. Now it's kind of going directly from the client to the server. And there's like way less miscommunication through that as well. And so it's been able to free up so much of my time. And it's been such a blessing. And so it's also been great to hear feedback from my clients. I actually received an email the other day and she was telling me she was talking to my server and the server was telling them about this new software we've been working with. And she's like, I just want to say I loved it. I had a great experience. Everything was so clear. So to receive like a random email with that compliment made me feel so good. And knowing that she wants to book us again because it was just so easy for her. A lot of our clients are super busy. They don't want to sit and also email us back and forth. They want to be able to book the event and move on with their day and just have all the information. And so that's been really nice to have that as my client.
Yes.
That is awesome.
I love that. Oh, that's so cool.
No, but yeah, it's seriously been such a blessing. Like, I've loved the event debrief. That's been so awesome, especially because not only was I doing the emails and invoices by hand, then I would sit and look at Google Maps and be like, hey, if it's 40 minutes away and they need 10 minutes to load. So I was like doing all this backward math and I was like, what am I doing? Like I have like customers, like I can't be like trying to figure this out. And so now with Flashquotes, it does it all for me. And I can now actually go work and be productive.
Yeah. So it seems like it's unlocked a ton of extra time for you to work on the business rather than just in the nitty gritty details and stuff. So what's the future hold for Joy Pops? I mean, you just opened this storefront. That's awesome. Like what are what are your visions to continue to grow and what are you hoping to do with the business?
We want to continue growing with catering as well. So as I mentioned, I want to get more catering, whether it's more coolers for guests to rent and more carts and more vans. Since it's been such more of like a streamlined process with Flashquotes, I now feel way more confident in growing our catering aspect because I feel like I have more time to grow that and I'm not so strapped to my desk. And then for the storefront, it's been really fun. I'm hoping to open another storefront maybe in the next 2 years, fingers crossed. And so I'd love to expand in that way as well. But yeah, just keep on growing and keep going, honestly, and just seeing where it takes me. But yeah, this has definitely been a turning point, and I'm excited to look back in a few years and be like, that was a turning point is when I got that software. And so and be excited about that.
Have you thought about like launching new cities eventually or growing geographically to new areas?
Oh yeah, if I was talking Dream World, it would definitely be North Shore, Oahu. I think that would be amazing. They have I'm growing up going to Hawaii. My aunt lives in Kauai, and so I've always loved it out there, and I think we'd fit great in there. My dad always dreams about me opening a little shop in his hometown of Mexico, having my cousins run it down there. I think that would be a dream as well. So being able to get things more systematic where I can start growing because we have like a system and process in place and we can do little pop-ups everywhere and start owning stores and shops different places.
When you're ready, hit up Justin because he just launched his sixth city recently. He's got the playbook, but yeah, I think you could totally do it. Like you've got an amazing brand, you've got an amazing domain name. Like joypops.com is.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know what you had to pay for that back in the day, but it's probably worth a lot now just because it's so short, so easy to spell, so memorable. Like your branding, your coloring, the sign behind you, like it's all I'm waiting for one to
Thank
come to
you.
Denver because I want one of these. They look delicious.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe in a few years we'll be there. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy. When I first started, I named my company under the company I studied under in Dominican Republic, and her company was Joy Nutritional Popsicle. So I'm like, the US has different standards on kind of what nutritional means. And so
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'll do Joy Popsicle. And I quickly, maybe not quickly, 2 years into it, someone came up to me like, you know, the word popsicle is trademarked, right? Like, I was like, oh, I
Oh,
did not know that. And so I called up a trademark attorney. And I was like, is this serious? Because I have had everything branded with the word popsicle, like every last thing. And my trademark attorney's like, no, like, you're good. And he calls me back. He's like, no, it's definitely trademarked. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. So it took me a long time to, at that point, I started panicking. So immediately I got on my phone and I bought the domain for Joy Pops. And it was a lot of money. But I was like, at this point, I can't, it would cost me more to rebrand to a completely new name than if it was to just take off the last 4 letters. And so I taught myself Adobe Illustrator, and I do all my own marketing. And so I was teaching myself to redesign all of our graphics without those last 4 letters. And so that's kind of how Joy Pop started. It's like it snowballed, but it's still
Yeah.
like, I still like that it's still like, it's a nod to the company I originally
Yeah.
started with.
No, Joy Pops is way better. You got lucky, right? It's kind of like when they
Yeah.
used to call it the Facebook, and then they just realized just get rid of the
Facebook.
It's just Facebook.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just better that way. Yeah.
Happy accident. No,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful I did that. It was just so nice.
So
yeah.
what are your friends doing now? You were going to go to college with, I'm assuming, a whole bunch of friends.
Mhm.
They kind of did they go off and did their
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, a lot
You
of my
just
friends
stayed and
are,
hustled, and now
Yeah.
you've built the Joy Pops.
Yeah. Now they're
yeah.
asking you for a job, right?
Yeah, are they
Yeah.
asking you for a job yet, or what?
No, 2 of my friends do work for me. They do side hustles and they work my farmers markets. No, my friends are incredibly smart. When I first started, they were doing their generals in college and they kind of figuring out what they want to do, and they didn't understand why I was working like 60 hours a week and I couldn't hang out. And there was a good 2 years where I hunkered down, and it felt like I didn't see the outside world, but it was all worth it. And I had a lot of passion and I had a vision for it. And my dad always said you have to have the grit. It's a long-term goal. And so I'm thankful I did that because it definitely paid off. And now all my friends are in nursing school, and so our jobs are pretty opposite. Like I always have so much respect for them in nursing school. The things they deal with could not be more opposite than what I deal with. A lot of them are dealing with some crazy things and crazy stories, and like my most stressful part of the day is like making ice cream. So even though we went different paths, they're killing it, and they look at me, they're like, my friend, she's in nursing school and she handles so much and she's so smart. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. And then she looks at me and she's like, I don't know how you do it. I wouldn't be able to plan one. She just got married. She's like, I can't plan one wedding, let alone manage 7 a week on top of your clients and making sure all of that gets from A to B. And so it's kind of fun to be able to admire each other for how opposite of a direction we went. But it's really fun to tell each other stories of our days.
That's incredible. So right now, what has that growth been like, year over year? I don't know if you've tracked that, like how many events you did, in 2020 to 21, 22, 23, or maybe even just the last couple years. How many events will you do in that 6-month period from May to September?
So many. I always try to measure it in how many sticks I'm ordering, because I don't think I could count how many paletas we've sold. But we went from ordering maybe like 20,000, because now we're ordering hundreds of thousands of sticks. And so that's kind of like where we measure it. And I
Wow.
remember when we got our first big order of 200 paletas when I first started, my mom and my brother looked at each other and they're like, I don't know if she'll be able to do it. They're like, I'm scared for her. And they were just scared of the mental breakdown that was going to come with it. And then now we are making thousands a week. Within 5 days, we make thousands of them all by hand. We package them by hand, seal them by hand. And so it's funny to look back at that 200 paleta order that my family was like, oh man, like this might be it. And then now that's like something I do in an hour. So it's been like really cool to see that growth also, and just like how many I'm able to handle within an hour. But yeah, it's been really fun.
So cool.
What would be some advice that you'd give to young Callie starting out now with the perspective you have?
If I would have known how much work it would have been, I don't think I would have ever started. And I'm so thankful for almost that kind of innocent bliss of being like, yeah, this is going to be fun. But I am proud of my younger self for kind of putting my head down and working through it. So even though like the days were so hard, My dad always used the word despite. Like you always like continuing to work despite not being inspired, or continuing to wake up the next day and go into work despite not being motivated. And I think that's kind of where all the grit I have gained came from, was even though I wasn't inspired or always motivated or felt like I was like, a lot of people think the dream life of an entrepreneur is just like you make your own schedule and like, other people do the work for you, and it just could not be further from the truth. And so being able to like, we've had freezers break down in the middle of the night and we lost all of our inventory, and to just get into the kitchen and keep going despite that happening. I think just working on your grit and then staying close with my family, they've provided a lot of words of wisdom. Even though they come help me physically do this, they were able to talk me through it, get me off the edge of the cliff, and they're like, okay, come back, you'll be good and it will work. And so I'm very proud of myself for continuing just to work hard and believing in myself. And there's going to be so many days where I feel like I had to be my own biggest cheerleader and I had to root for myself, despite a lot of doubt that I felt from, family or friends. And so I think I did everything right, honestly. Like, I think I wouldn't change the way I did things, even though it was a slow grow and I made a ton of mistakes. But I think all of those failures led me to where I am today. So I wouldn't have changed anything, but I am proud of how hard I worked and just kind of kept my head down and just kept going and figuring it out day by day.
That's incredible. Man, we might have to get your parents on here. They sound like so wise and cool. Like, they sound incredible.
They've taught me so much because I've also cried to them so much. And so they definitely have their words of wisdom. Thanks to all these problems coming up, we were both able to learn a lot.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, any other final stuff before we wrap up? Daniel or Zach, any final questions?
No, I'm really, really thankful for Flashquotes. Like, I have a short season to work with, and so making everything fast and efficient is really important in my season, and Flashquotes has definitely helped us, making sure we're getting every event we can in the short summer we have as fast as we can. And so really thankful to you guys.
That's awesome. Thank you, Callie. Your story is so inspiring. I think everyone's going to really resonate with it. And, not just objectively what you've built, but at the age and the speed and the challenges you've overcome to do it. We're so grateful to have you on Flashquotes. I know you're one of the first ones in this like frozen treats sector. And it's just really cool. We love hearing that we are actually solving real problems for real business owners like you. And thanks for taking the time and coming on the podcast. We're really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to grow with you guys. I have so many ideas that I want to add to the catering. So hopefully with your guys' help, we can do that. And so I'm excited to continue to grow with you guys.
Heck yeah.
Bring a Joy Pops to Denver.
Yeah.
We're ready.
I'll ship them out.
That's awesome. Thanks, Callie.